Well, good afternoon. I see that Deb Lannon has joined us. This is the MyLO office hours question and answer session with both Rain, Elizabeth, and Amaris. We have the full team here today, and we're going to be going over not only some of the basics and beginner essentials to know about how to effectively use your MyLO site and get it up and running, but we're also going to take questions from all of our attendees and make sure we get you the answers you need to continue in your work. Again, I have on the line with us Amaris Lebron, who is our customer service queen, who is on the other end of many of the support tickets that people send in. And we also have our developer and tech guru, Rain Michaels, with us today, who's going to sort of take us on this MyLO journey and answer a lot of the questions. So with that, we only have Deborah again on the line. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute Deborah, and maybe we can, after your welcome, Rain, we will get started with Deborah and the questions that she has today. So Rain, would you like to take it away?
Absolutely. So hi, Deborah, and I'm very glad that you joined. And I did want to just give you kind of a brief rundown of what you're looking at right now on the screen. This is the My League Online landing page, and I'm logged in currently as a full-on administrative user. So to just give you an idea of how things change a little bit, I'm going to switch over. Oh, not that one. I'm going to go to Rainbow Bright, my standard demonstration user, and show you that the interface changes a little bit. So if you've logged into your environment, this may look a little bit more familiar to you. And the goal for today is really to give you an idea of how to feel comfortable using the system. We're not really sure where you're at with the system, if you've gotten started or if you want an overview, but hopefully by the end of this hour, you feel very comfortable kind of moving around and asking whatever questions come up as you continue to go through. So with that, let's go ahead and find out what you're interested in learning.
Great, thanks so much. There's a few things that I would appreciate if we could go over, and it probably wouldn't take the entire hour unless, of course, someone else joins. But our site is up and running, and I have seen some emails go back and forth on the support group regarding analytics. Analytics is something that I'm also interested in, but when I went back in earlier this morning, I didn't see any real how-tos in terms of being able to put the back end on it. What I have done is gone into Google Analytics and gotten a code, which I have not yet attempted to put into this particular site. And I'm just wondering if I'm on the right track, or is this something else I need to do?
Okay, that's a great question, and very coincidentally, it's what we were just talking about just before this call began. So the Google Analytics setup that's available right now, you don't need to produce your own code because all of the MyLO sites are actually running through one site. So there's one code serving the entire system, and then we have individualized reports for each league. At this moment, we are following a process of, if you would like reports, get in touch with Elizabeth and Amaris, and they will set you up to receive reports on a regular basis. And then if there's reports that you need that are different than that, you can speak with Elizabeth or Amaris and get what you need. Elizabeth, did you want to say more about that?
Sure. The reason that we have this workaround at this moment, meaning that you would contact me to get some traffic reports, is that we're in the process of setting up automation for every league to receive monthly reports automatically emailed to you. So we're hoping to get that done by the first week of September is my hope. So that means you will not have to contact me for those reports, you will get them automatically. And what we've included in those reports are the information that we think is most essential for you to find out if you're doing a good job and what people are coming to your site to look at. So that includes, the traffic information. So how many people are coming, also where they're coming from, their referral information, how long they're staying on your site, and of course the top 3 pages that they're viewing. Which is important information because you can find out if that partnership you had with a local media station that added a link is working, and what content people are really looking for. We can tell you just in our overall Google Analytics information about MyLO is about 84% of all people coming to all MyLO sites are coming via Google. So that means they're dropping your name and their question into Google and they're finding your site. But again, that drill down information specific to your league will be available automatically. So what we would like just to ask that you do is that you have a Gmail account or set one up, and it can either be you personally or your league's name at Gmail, or you may already have one. So just send that email along to me and or Amaris, either one of us, and we'll make sure that you're added to the list to have the automated reports sent to you.
Okay, great. That sounds wonderful. So how can I begin to set that up with you now for the interim reporting, Elizabeth, or do you want me to send you an email?
You can send me an email and that would be great.
Okay.
So in that, just include your Gmail address, and I can give you sort of your baseline traffic now, and then once the automation is set up, you'll have something to compare it to.
Okay, that sounds great. I know that we don't have, we have hardly any traffic now because we haven't rolled it out yet. It's just in our steering committee, but I think it's going to be going out maybe later this week or something. So we'll see. So the setting up the members only pages, do you have documentation on that yet?
We do have some documentation, and I'll direct you to that now. So are you familiar with the documentation section of the site?
No, in fact, I haven't even, it didn't even register that it was there.
Okay, let me give you a little tour of the kind of basic resources that are available to you. And then after I do that, we will go through the process of setting up some members only content so that you can see that outside of the documentation, because I know that would be helpful for you. And it's a question that a lot of people ask. So having that in this webinar will also be very useful. So first I'll just scroll down. I mentioned to you that I am authenticated into this site as if I'm my demo user. And before I do that, what I'm actually going to do is, before I do anything else, is I'm actually going to switch back to the admin user. And oh, I logged out instead. So that's okay. So instead of that, I will show you what this system looks like as an unauthenticated user, and then I'm going to log in as myself, and then I'm going to masquerade as you. That way, everything that you see for the rest of this webinar looks like your experience.
Okay, great.
So when you're not authenticated and you come to My League Online, which is MyLO, this is just there because of some of the interface that I've played with so far, but my.lwv.org. So that is the My League Online landing page, as opposed to the landing page for a specific league. And when you come here, all of our documentation is available without even authenticating into the system. So you can actually click on this and you can get into the entire documentation section. We've started this section with a beginner guide that is definitely worth going through, although it sounds like you might be further along than necessarily needing the beginner guide, but you might want to look through it anyway because it might teach you something about MyLO that you didn't already know. And then from there, we have a quick reference for the most common questions that people ask us. Now, your specific question about members only isn't in this particular list, but we will get down to where those other questions are answered. We also have a glossary to help you understand the terminology that's used throughout this system. This is a Drupal site, so we do use a lot of Drupal terminology in the system, and a glossary is just kind of a good, I really don't understand what Rain is saying, let me check what it might be in here. And then we also have the link to the support group and to our YouTube channel where we do have a number of videos up already. I don't remember if we have one for members only content, but we might. And then from there, there's this long list of topics that you can look through. And as you can see, it's a lot of information. I tried to section it out so that it'd be easier to find what you're looking for. But we also have this drop-down menu to get you to information more quickly that you can make use of. And if you don't see what you're actually looking for, then what you can do is you can type in, and I'll just type in member and apply, and it'll show you all of the information that's specific to members only.
Okay.
So hopefully that might help you as well. Now, we don't have a really strong specific members only documentation page. It would be a good idea for us to prioritize creating that because we are, there's so much documentation to create for this system and we're still working on that.
Can you tell me how old the system is in terms of this new environment?
In terms of being live, we've been alive. Have we been live for a year now, Elizabeth? Are we there yet? Almost. I think it was September, right?
A year. Just
okay.
about a year.
All right.
Yeah.
So fairly new.
Yes. Fairly new and constantly improving. So,
Sure,
anytime you encounter any kind of difficulty, let us know because we're constantly working through the system and making it better. Okay. So that being said, this is always available to you, and it's certainly worth looking through and looking at the YouTube channel as well. Let me just show you what that looks like. Oh, yep. So there is some members only information in there as well. So you can take a look at, there's a lot of videos here.
Okay.
So with that though, let's go ahead and actually post some members only content. So I'm going to log back in as me, and then I'm going to pretend to be you. Okay. Are you
I think I'm Deb Lannon.
Okay, there you are. Okay, so you are now seeing the system as if I were you. And we'll go ahead and go to your league because this is where you're usually landing. When you're here, if you want to get back to what I just showed you, the page that has all of the live leagues listed as well as the link to the documentation section, what you need to do is scroll down to the bottom, and then there's this little tiny link down here at the bottom that says My League Online.
Okay.
If you click on that, it will take you back to this space where you can look at what other leagues are doing, and you can get to the documentation. You can also take a look at issues of focus. So these are available to you as well, and you can see what other people are doing with these issues.
Okay. Is this all right, so it's not just California?
No, it's not.
Okay.
There are issues that are specific to California if you're looking for those, but the other ones are national.
So now if I want to, let's say I want to key into what is our Massachusetts issues, how would I do that?
We don't have Massachusetts specific issues from the state on here yet. So what we'd need is for the Massachusetts League to provide those issues to us so that we could put them in here and make them available to you.
Okay, are other states doing that as
right now? Just California, although I believe New York and isn't one other, is it Ohio, or I believe there's one other that's exploring the possibility.
Okay.
Is that right, Elizabeth?
Yes, it is. And I have on occasion by request, if I've gotten multiple requests for other issues. For example, United Nations was one that came up multiple times from multiple leagues. So I have added that one. So I'm open to it. I just would caution you, to not clutter up your site and to make sure it doesn't fit under another issue perhaps, but I'm willing to add those as needed.
Right.
Okay, great.
Yeah, most of what you're going to use is probably in here in these national issues.
Okay.
Majority of what you might want. Okay, so that's how you would get back to kind of this space where you have access to all of the leagues, you have access to the documentation, you have access to issues of focus, and you also have a little link here that's going to get you into seeing all of the files, all of your files that you've uploaded, or all of the files that have been uploaded into the system. So this is a useful location to be aware of because it does give you some access to items that you may not really access directly through your league itself.
Okay.
Okay, so heading back to your league, now what you asked about is adding the members only section or adding content that is members only content. So I see that you have that menu item turned off right now. And that menu item will only show up when somebody is authenticated as a member. So let me actually demonstrate that for you. Let's go back to your member. Do you have members in your system already?
We do not. So probably, maybe I should have gone back to that one first.
Okay, it looks like your members only. Oh, I'm in the wrong menu, of course. Okay, I'm looking at your menu. All right, so members only is currently disabled. So since you don't currently have members in the system, it's okay for us to enable it because nobody will see it unless they authenticate as a member. So I just re-enabled that link and it's showing up here in the middle. You might want to reorder that based on how you see fit. Let me just show you, and in case you're not comfortable with that yet.
Rain, can I pause you for a minute to explain what
Yeah.
authenticated means?
Yes, that's a good point. So when we're talking about your members authenticating as members, it means that they have a login into MyLO and that you have verified them as users in the system. Okay. So in order, oh, and I enabled the wrong one. So we'll just make sure that, no, I didn't. That should be right. We'll see. So they've authenticated as members in the system, which means that they then have access to private information. They have the same way that you have your own username and password, so do they. Okay. And we can talk with you about how to manage that in a minute. First, I'll just show you how to actually interact with your members only content and how to create it. Elizabeth, were you about to say something?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So now we have your members only section enabled. Let me just make sure I enabled the right one because you had two. And yes, I did. So if I click on this, then what I see here is some preset content that has already been created, which is really just, there is no information posted here yet because you haven't posted anything. Once you do start posting members only content, it will be what's called aggregated into this space by default. So a user can, an authenticated member for your league can always log in and click on this link and then see any content that has been designated as members only content in kind of a summary form here, much like what happens on your homepage with content that you've promoted to the front page. The nice thing about this is that the site knows whether or not somebody is a member of this particular site. So the members only link will not display or be accessible to someone who is not authenticated. So I'm going to demonstrate what that actually means to you. Let me open up another web browser. And this is, no, that's not what I want to do. This is a common way to view your content the way that the public would see it is to open up a second web browser so that you're switching between your browsers, and one you're logged in, and then the other one you're not logged in. So let me show you what I mean by that by going to your league. Let's just grab the URL so that I don't have to write it. And oh, there we go. Okay, so now I'm looking at the league as if I were the general public. You'll see that up at the top here, I have this username and password field, which shows me that I have not authenticated. When I'm authenticated, instead I have my account and log out, which shows me that I have. And then actually, before I go back over there, you'll also see that right now I'm authenticated and I can see this members only link in the menu. But if I go back to the web browser where I'm not authenticated, that members only link is not visible.
Okay.
Now, if I go back to your league, what I can now do is I'm just going to create a page. We'll remember to make sure that it's not active at the end of this. So I'll just create it can be any kind of content. It doesn't have to be a page. It could be an action alert. It could be an event, any kind of content that you want. So I'm making just a general page, sample page for members only content. And then I'll just say here, this is a test page. And I'll leave everything else blank. I'll even leave issues blank. I don't need to tag it to any issues or positions. And then right here is the key where it says public or members only. By default, everything is going to be public. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this to members only, accessible to members, so private. And by making that switch, now I'll go ahead and take this straight to published. And I'm going to save it. And by making that switch to say under public or members only to private, now this particular page, sample page for members only content, is going to show up right here under your members only content.
Okay, why do we have 2 members only content listed there?
So this is the header right here, which you can edit.
Okay.
And then this right here is for events. Events will actually show up separately because they organize separately. Events organized by upcoming event next, whereas the rest of the content organizes by newest first or sticky.
Well, now the thing is, oh, okay. Well, shouldn't this pick up the events I've already put in?
Only if those, this is only showing members only content. So stuff that's been set to be private.
Okay,
the events
so
that you've already put in should be showing up under your regular events if they're public.
all right, so let's say I have a members only event.
Mm-hmm.
I put that under the events calendar, but underneath there should be, in one of the pages that I'm editing, it should have that same menu there, whether or not I wanted it to be members,
Right.
Public or members, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. But just keep in mind that you really only want to put stuff under members only that needs to be hidden under authentication.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I try to come to this page now as the general public, let's go to this other web browser and I'll put in that URL. It's going to tell me that I have to log in.
Can you hold on just one moment, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, while we're holding, is there something that you'd like me to do for the purposes of the webinar?
I have muted her just for a moment, but yes, I think it would be fantastic to just show on the documentation where the beginner section is, which I've also put that link in chat. If we can go back to the documentation section.
Absolutely.
And I just want to point out for folks that might be watching this webinar at a later date, is you can see the we have the, I wanted to point out the League Webmaster tidbits, little daily information. Did you know that offers great tips for people that are learning how to use the system? So every day when you log in, you can learn something new and it's not overwhelming. I find it to be really helpful and I learn things too. And then I also will mention as well, if people are having problems, to please email us. and they can email using the MyLO@LWVC address for now, and that will automatically make a ticket, and we will respond to your problem within 24 hours or less. And then, Rain, if you could go ahead to the documentation section and at least show from there where it leads to our YouTube accounts, where there are videos showing you how to do many of the, there it is right there, the glossary is listed, and then you can go to our YouTube channel where there's tutorial videos showing you how to do many of the things that are on here. Some people are better at reading the documentation, some people are better at watching it. Sometimes I need a combination of both if I'm having challenges.
And I'm going to interrupt you for just a moment. There are two ways to get to that YouTube channel. I just scrolled down on the documentation page to the additional help section, which is where the YouTube channel link is located. But we also have it up here in the memory in the menu up at the top. So there's documentation, and then the key 3 links that you might want to access are right here. So the glossary, the essentials, and the YouTube channel. Go ahead.
Oh no, please continue. I didn't have anything.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so what Elizabeth was asking me to talk about really is we have all of this documentation, which I showed at the beginning of this webinar. And I very briefly showed the YouTube channel. Let me click on that link again and show you what's in there. Both the documentation itself and also the YouTube channel are continually growing. We're adding new things all the time. But you might find what you're interested in here. And if you see the word LU, just translate that to My League Online or MyLO, because some of this documentation was created before before MyLO was established as the name. So just an FYI. So that being said, also we tried to chunk absolutely everything into small little bits. So most of the videos are fairly short. I tried to keep most of them under 10 minutes. Some of them are just a couple minutes long. The web form ones are much more complex. There's 3 of them and they're about 20 minutes long each. So just keep in mind that that functionality is more complicated and will take more time. But most of it is in little bite-sized pieces. The one documentation page that is not in bite-sized pieces is this MyLO Essentials for Beginners. And this is a very long documentation page. I'm just going to scroll down to show you what I mean by that. Just scrolling down. And then at the very end, there's a list of further steps, items that you will want to pay attention to if you are just getting started. The reason why this particular document is not in little bite-sized chunks is because it's intended as a, okay, now you're starting on MyLO. Here's the 1, 2, 3 of the basics that you might want to go through to get your site set up. And we tried to be as descriptive as absolutely possible to give you as much information, including screenshots. So let me show you what some of that means. Here's the section that talks about subscribing to other leagues' content. So if, for example, you are in the state of California, and you want to receive California content, you can use this tool to subscribe to other California content. And this shows you with screenshots and detailed step-by-steps of how to make that happen. So that's what this documentation page allows for. And it's definitely worth taking some time, even if you've been using MyLO for a while, it's worth taking some time to look through this, because you might learn something about how this is structured that will help you thinking about optimizing your site. And we also picked a couple of sites to show as examples. The Los Angeles is on here because that's actually my league, and I am the webmaster and the one setting up that particular league. So you know that the person who knows the most about the system happens to be behind that league, and that makes it an interesting place to go for inspiration. Elizabeth, is there anything else that you wanted me to show on that while we wait for Deb, or has Deb
I am
returned?
back.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
But you can continue, Elizabeth, with whatever it is. I'm finding it very interesting what you're talking about, Rain.
Okay. Well, I think that's all I had to say, unless there was something else that Elizabeth wanted to go over. Otherwise, I'll switch back to members only content.
I think we're doing just fine. If Deb would benefit from learning more about the members only content, let's go back there. And Deb, just for your benefit, we are recording this webinar so that folks can come back, including yourself, and review it on our special MyLO channel we have, where you can go back and look at previous webinars. We try to indicate what we've covered. So for this one, obviously, we'll indicate we did some coverage for beginners as well as for members only content. So Rain, if you'd like to go ahead and continue reviewing the members only content, I think that that might be helpful.
Absolutely. Okay, so I did just show you, just to kind of recap where we were a moment ago, if I try to go to a members only page without authenticating as a member, then I get this access denied, and then it gives me the opportunity to log in as myself. If I've forgotten the password, I can request a new password. And if I don't have an account, then I can create an account, but this is really important. And in a minute, I'm going to show you how to manage your members. But if I request an account, if I create an account, it gives me an account on My League Online, but I can't actually do anything with that other than log in and log out and set up my own profile and you know, my picture and my bio. And I apologize for the noise. Not sure what's going on, but so that's all I can do until I'm an approved member of a league. I can request to become a member or to be indicated and approved as a member of a league, but you as the league webmaster have to actually approve a pending request. And again, I'll show that to you in a minute. So the reason why I'm going over that detail right now is because I want to assure you that if you have marked content as members only content, only people who you have approved to access that content will be able to see it. This is a good way for you to make sure that you have a space where you can put up truly private information, such as a member directory, something that, that you really won't want anyone who shouldn't be accessing it to get a hold of that material.
Great.
Okay, so now that you've seen this, I also want to show you something else kind of cool about the members only functionality. So let me go back here. I'm still in the unauthenticated view. I see this menu that doesn't have that members only link. Now let's say that you feel like this sample page for members only content is so crucially important to your members that you don't want to mask it under the members only menu item, but instead you want it to have its own place in this menu. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this piece of content by creating a new draft. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and click on menu settings, provide a menu link, and we'll make it a shorter link so that it doesn't look ugly. Sample member page. And then we'll just leave it at the top level of your menu. I'm going to take this straight to published so that I don't have to moderate it. And then I'm going to save this. Okay, so now this particular item is in the menu. If I go back to the home page, I still see it there in the menu, sample member page. But remember, I'm in the authenticated environment. If I go back to the unauthenticated environment and reload, notice that that menu item is not there.
Okay.
So this allows you to actually place things in your menu that are intended for members only without worrying that non-members are going to get a hold of those links and see them. So all of that being said, before we forget, I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go to your content here, manage content. And I'm going to take this page right here, sample page for members only, and I'm going to unpublish it. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and delete that page. Yes, I want to delete that page. And now that page is gone, so it won't bother your content anymore. All right, any questions about that before we take a look at how to handle members?
No, I think I have it.
Okay, great. Okay, so under your Administer League site menu, there's a link here for Manage Members. This shows you all of the people who are users on your, who are members of your league. So right now, only Amaris and yourself are members in your league as far as MyLO is concerned. And you'll notice that you are an administrator member. Amaris is not listed as an administrative member, but she and I and Elizabeth, we're all full-on admins on the system, as well as Sarah Courtney from the National League. We're all admins on the system, so we can actually manage any league. But any other type of member that, or any other user that's not an admin on the system that doesn't have administrator member next to or in the role column in this list will be a member of your league as far as MyLO is concerned and able to see members only content, but they will not be able to edit anything. So they'll be able to look at that restricted content without actually making changes to your league. If you say administrator member, then that individual will be able to edit content the same way that you are, and they'll be able to add members and so forth. It's a good idea to have more than one webmaster, so more than one administrator member, if you can find at least one other person to give that permission to, because that gives you some redundancy. Now, MyLO does have more redundancy than League Easy Web did because Amaris, Elizabeth, Sarah, and I are all able to come in and do anything that's necessary. So in the past, we have seen, League Easy Web users not have enough redundancy, and it's hard to re-secure their site. You won't necessarily have that issue, but it's still always nice to have redundancy and to share the burden between multiple people. So all of that being said, if you want to add someone to your league, let me actually just go ahead and show you what happens. Actually, I'm not sure if you are active, Hamilton. Let me see if this is going to work, if this demonstration is going to work. No, it's not. Okay, so if somebody were to fill out this form, I'll just tell you because you're not enabled right now, because presumably because you're not actually sort of actively using the site at the moment, so that you're still rolling it out. So if somebody were to fill out this form, then you can set it up so that they have the option of requesting membership in your league at the point when they fill out this form. So let's say I fill out the form and then I request, let's pretend like Santa Barbara is your league instead. And so if I click on that and then finish the form, I say create new account. What's going to happen is that in your member list here, you're going to see that user's name, their contact information, and then in the state column, instead of active, you'll see the word pending, which means that they are not active, they are not actually a member, and they're awaiting approval. At that point, you can click edit, or you can use the little checkbox next to their name, and under operations, you can say modify membership status. And don't worry, I'm not going to modify either of your membership status. I'm just demonstrating this for you. And then where it says state, you can change it from pending to active. Or if the user is someone who you think is trying to scam you, then you can change that to blocked. So you have that option as well. Just as kind of a note of not really caution, but procedure, I strongly recommend that anytime you find someone that you want to remove membership from your league, rather than deleting that member, so there is this remove option, it's available to you, but I would actually recommend that you not remove them. Instead, you keep them and you change their state to blocked. This will also make it so that they cannot look at your members only content, but it will preserve their activity so that if we need to audit their activity for any reason whatsoever, we have that record. So that being said, now there's, let's see, there's the next option, which is to add a member manually. So I showed you what would happen if they tried to create an account themselves, but you can also add them. So what you would do is you would click on add member, and then this first option here searches from members from users that are already in MyLO. So if I put myself in, for example, I'll put in Rain, and it's going to show me all of the users with the name Rain. And I can make a selection and add that person. If I don't find that person, let's say you're looking for somebody whose name is Crystal. I think this should be Crystal, and you're not finding someone. Oh, there is a Crystal. Let's say Crystal Keen. Now that person, there's no recommendation coming up. That means that this person doesn't exist. In that case, what you would need to do is create a new user. So you would go through this form, you would build that person, and then you would come back to your members. Oh, here it is. You would come back here, reload this, and then you would search for that person again, and then they would show up.
So
it's a little bit clunky, but that's not how you're going to upload most of your members. So I'm just showing you that if you were to do a member one at a time and you were to create their account instead of them creating it first.
So what I would assign their username.
Right, right. My recommendation is that you have people, you say to people, you know what, please go to MyLO and register your own account, and then let me know when you're there and I'll approve you.
Okay.
That's going to be the easiest way, both for them and for you, because then they have control over their username and password. However, we do also have a bulk upload option, which I'll show you in a moment. But before I talk about that, if you want to turn someone else into an administrative member on your league, let's say, you know, Amaris, obviously she's an admin, so she is already an administrative user. But let's go ahead and make her officially an administrative user so that she has that role in here. I'll click on edit right here. And then right here under also an ability to change that person's status is a little checkbox for administrator member. And if I click on that and then update membership, now she is an administrator member and can actually perform webmaster activities on your league. So this obviously means that there's a lot of work. I'm actually going to get off of this page because since we're recording it, being off the members page will be a good idea. But adding members one at a time is a lot of work. So if you're adding people one at a time, my recommendation for workflow, tell that person to go to MyLO, register their account. So up here at the top, register. They'll click on that and then they'll create their account. And then once they're there, then they let you know, and then you can add them to the league as a member.
Rain, can you go back to the page or to the link that the member would locate on the home page to register?
Sure. So it's right up here at the top where the login screen is. Username, password, login, and then they click on register. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then right here, first it'll say I have an account, which if they're registering, they probably don't, but they might. And then I want to create an account. So that's what they would do. They would create the account. So that's if you're doing one-off registrations. We can also bulk upload your members. So if you want to do that, you would create a spreadsheet for us with all of your members with the key information, their first name, their last name, their email address is essential, their phone number if you'd like to have it. So that key information about the member, that spreadsheet would need to have it. We can also take their address. So if you want to provide their mailing address, you can include that. And then, if you write to MyLO at lwvc.org, Elizabeth or Amaris would send you the sample spreadsheet that you can fill in, or at least kind of formulate your member records in that way. And then you would send that over and then we would upload your members.
Okay, that sounds great.
And that would make life a lot easier for you because then you're not doing them as one-offs.
Okay, and will you be then assigning the usernames to them?
Yes, so when we do a bulk upload of members, what we do is we concatenate the first name and last name fields.
Okay.
If you're not an Excel person, then that means that we take the content of those two fields and we swoosh them together. So that's why most of the usernames on the system are reliably the first name, last name. as one.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, any other questions about members and members only?
I'm going down my list. Hold on, please. Members
I'm
only.
glad you asked this because we haven't spent much time in any webinar on this yet. So this is really the first webinar recording that's going to have this rundown in it.
Okay, well, glad to be of help. Okay, so I think we're okay. Oh, action alerts. Did we go over that?
Oh, well, we didn't really. So action alerts, it looks like you might have turned off that menu item. So let's go to your links. And let's see, is this it? Oh, here they are. Yeah, so you've turned off the action alerts menu item. So let me go ahead and click on that and show you what that looks like. Again, it's just kind of a default page here. And right now you don't have any action alerts. Now, if you had subscribed to other people's action alerts, then they would show up here. So if you subscribe to national action alerts, for example, they'll show up. Let me show you what that looks like with Los Angeles. So California, Los Angeles. So if I go to the Los Angeles action alerts page, first there's the custom header that we put into there, and you can customize yours. And then the next thing I see are all of the action alerts from LA. And then after that, I see action alerts that LA has subscribed to. So that's the action alerts coming from California and the national league.
I see. Okay. All right.
So those will automatically show up for you.
Sure.
If you want to add a new action alert, what I'm going to do in this case, so in the sample page, I was just kind of having fun, and it doesn't hurt your league at all. But in this case, I'm going to switch back to Rainbow Bright, and I'm going to go to my demo local league.
Okay.
So that I can show you what posting an action alert looks like. Okay, so I'm now Rainbow Bright, and I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go to the demo local league. So that's, I think I put that into Colorado. Yes. Okay, so this league is a league that I have up specifically for these webinars and for training. And you can also look at it for examples because it kind of shows you how insane or bad or customized a league can get. So if you want to play with that. And now I'm gonna go ahead and in here, I'm gonna go to the action alerts page. And you can see that there are no local action alerts, but demo local is subscribed to the California alerts. So I'm seeing those. If I want to add a new action alert to this league, then under the administer league site menu, I'll click on add action alert. And in a moment, I will be able to do this. So I'm going to give it a title, whatever title you want. I'm going to give it a date range. So I'm going to say I want this alert to be valid from today until August 31st. I can connect it to issues so that it will show up on that issue landing page. If somebody goes to issues of focus, all of the content from the system that's tagged with that issue is aggregated to that page. So I'm not actually going to tag it with an issue because I don't really want this to show up. And the same goes with positions. I can relate it to a position, both from my own league or from any other league. And the reason why we did it this way is because you might actually have some kind of action alert that is related to activity that another league is engaged in. Obviously, this makes this an incredibly long list that would take you way too long to go through. So let's say that you know that this particular alert is about water. Let's water. So I'll start typing in water, and now you'll see that it's going to start narrowing down my list.
Okay.
So that makes it helpful. And the same is true on issues and also on committees, which we also allowed you to choose from committees from any league, again, because we wanted to enable you to connect something to work that other leagues are doing.
Okay, great.
You can also relate it to events that you might have. And if you have a location, let's say you're doing a rally or something, then you can add that location as well. And then if you want to put an image in there, you can do that. The body is where you would put the description of this alert, whatever text you wanted to include, and you could format it however you want. You can embed code. So if you have a PayPal donation link for that action alert, if you have a registration form of some kind for that action alert, or a embed code for a signature for a petition, you can add it here. And if you have any PDFs or flyers that you want people to print out and post everywhere or send in the mail to someone, you can attach that here. And then there's more links. You can make it a public action alert or an action alert that's specific to members. And then I'm now in a user role that has multiple leagues, so I would need to say which league this action alert belongs to. And then from there, I'll go ahead and publish this. And I'm actually going to promote it to the front page as well, so that you can see what happens when I do that. And then that's enough. I'll go ahead and save it. Okay, so here's my action alert. And if I go to the action alerts page, this action alert will now show up right here. And if I go to my home page, because I promoted it to the front page, the action alert will now show up right here as well.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
Can you just clarify if I want to bring up, if we want action alerts from our state league, would that be?
Yes, if you want action alerts from your state league, you would need to subscribe to your state, but I don't know, is Massachusetts actually a MyLO subscriber? Let's go here and take a look at what we find on the Massachusetts page. I don't know that they're a subscriber.
I don't believe they are.
No, they're not.
Okay.
So for that reason, you wouldn't be able to do that. But if you wanted, something from one of the leagues in your region, if you wanted Boston alerts, anybody that you see here, you can subscribe to, except for the state league. Every local league, for every local league, their state has to exist on MyLO, whether or not the state is using MyLO.
Okay.
So
yes.
for that reason, we have some landing pages for states that are basically.
Can I do an RSS for that instead then?
So if they have their action alerts in some form that is ingestible, then yes, you can talk with Amaris and Elizabeth about what's involved in setting up your league to ingest that content. It's a couple of hours of custom work on my side to actually grab that, an hour or two, I think, because we have the functionality there, but every feed is going to be different, so I have to spend time mapping it to make sure that the content comes in correctly. Okay, well, but that is entirely dependent on whether or not Massachusetts has done that on their side in a way that we can grab. So Massachusetts LWV, let's just see what we get. Oh boy, this site is action priorities. They might. It looks like this is a database-driven site. So there might be a possibility. They don't have one obviously available, so they would need to create it. But it looks like it's in a form that they could potentially create one, and then we could ingest it.
Okay, so they would create, I'm sorry, can you repeat what they would have to create?
They would have to create some kind of a feed that I can ingest. I would prefer an XML feed. But if you decide to do this, and if they're amenable to creating it for you, then what you actually want to do, and this is after you've gotten approval from Elizabeth and Amaris, but what you actually want to do is have their web person talk with me directly, so that I can make sure that they give me the fields in an appropriate manner.
Sure. Okay. All right. That sounds fine. So what you're telling me here is that just to clarify what you're saying is that it doesn't look as though they have a feed set up, an XML feed set up yet.
They might, because they're using a content management system. So they're they are using a system where it is more, where it is possible that they have one, and where it isn't that complicated for them to create one.
Okay.
But I
All right,
don't
very
know
good.
for
However,
sure that
let
they
me
do have
just
one.
jump in and say that, you know, we can't promise we can do that for free. There
Yes.
could be a
Okay.
cost associated, there would be a cost associated with us doing that work because they're out of the MyLO system.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they were in the MyLO system, it would be a lot easier.
Yeah, then you just
Absolutely.
subscribe.
And then they could share all their content and it would auto post to your site. In fact, if you have a contact there, we'd love to try to convince them to come on over to MyLO. It just makes things with this automatically posting both content and action alerts makes it so much more effective,
Right. Right.
you know, for everyone involved. So that's definitely something, if you have a relationship with them, that I would highly suggest they consider doing.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to the rest of the committee on that.
That would be fantastic.
Okay.
And I see you
Terrific.
have, wait, Rain, can you scroll down? I see there are other Massachusetts leagues.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's 4.
yeah. I don't know how
And
many leagues there are in Mass altogether, but that's a significant number. And, you know, we are offering state leagues some type of discount or incentive if they're bringing on all of their leagues. So that's something we could definitely discuss if your committees can get the state league in Massachusetts interested.
Okay. Wonderful.
There'd be some cost savings that we could pass on to you, very likely.
Okay. I will mention it at the next meeting, which unfortunately isn't until September.
Well,
But
that's
I will
okay.
do that.
That's okay. And with that, I'd like to say we're almost at 1 o'clock, so we're going to wrap up our call. And I want to say thank you so much, Deb, for joining us today. I think your site's looking fantastic. And thank you, of course, always to Amaris and Rain for being a wonderful team to work with and helping our leagues strengthen their web presence. So you will receive a link to this recording in 1 day via email. So look for that if you'd like to watch this again and review all of the wonderful things Rain taught us today. So thank you
Wonderful.
very much for being on the call today, and we will be talking to everyone soon.
And thank you
thank
to
you.
you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.